Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I was going to do why heaven is the greatest place in the universe, but that will be next video because I wanted to mention a topic that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's still important because this is one of the core things that Jesus built when he was here on the earth, and that was what it means to have a true church family. So the Bible describes the church as a group of faith-filled believers. It's not just a building. It's something that Jesus built when he was here on this earth, and it is something that believers should engage in to not just have a sense of community, but to be built up, to go preach the gospel and all the things that Jesus commanded. So I wanted to look at some practical applications of what happens when you're in a church family, and then some of the hopes and dreams of just someone who has been alone for a long time, who doesn't know that many true Christians anymore, and just looking for something that's similar to what Jesus built. So, for example, the first one is going to be the first of three practical applications of what a church family looks like. But the first one is obviously you're just not alone anymore. Oftentimes as believers that we can obviously be alone sometimes, especially those lonely seasons. And having that true church family definitely helps with being lonely. And just having a group of people that just understand you and that, just understand where you're coming from, have the same beliefs as you, all that stuff. That's definitely something that more people should pursue. And some other great things is that, like, when you suffer, especially when you're struggling with sin, you're not alone. You have someone to help you get through that. Not even just one person, but a group of people, and they can lift you up when you come down, and you can lift them up, and that just helps because, as you know, sanctification, which is the process of being cleansed of all sin, is a lifelong process, and definitely a family helps with that. And can be more like Christ, and less of a slave to sin and more of a slave to righteousness. Also, a lot of times in church, you can find purpose and mission, whether that's giving back to the poor, spreading the gospel, being a light in the community. That sacrifice is not just something you do by yourself anymore. It's something that you can do with the church. That's when you can find purpose in the mission of giving back to the world, especially if you do it with other people in that church. That could be something that can really empower you to, for example, spreading the gospel, preaching it more boldly, because you have people that are behind you, and that can definitely help with spreading the truth more boldly. And then one of the obvious reasons is really just you experience a deeper joy in the world offers. So that's, whether it's laughing at a table, prayers, it's a sense of homeness that you've never really had. We always had our blood family, and, some of them can be pretty great, but that spiritual family is definitely something that is lifelong. And, that's something you can carry into eternity because, there's imperfection in this world, but definitely in eternity, in heaven, that definitely is perfected. You can get little snippets here and there, but definitely eternity is definitely perfected. And honestly, as someone who's been alone for a long time, it's definitely something that helps with having a church family because, you get a sense of belonging in that you've never really had. And that's just sounds like an amazing thing to me. I've never really had that. I have one other person, my mom. Thank her that she's that one other person I had. But yeah, as far as like a church family though, we've never really had that. And then, as far as the fellowship in it, it's just something that you can just, you can always go back to, always rely on fellowship, that you can just be with other people and, just enjoy each other's time. And that's just something that's really, it's really great. It's something that more believers should strive for. And obviously, this is more of a taste of heaven. So this is something that you'll, again, that says before, you'll have that in eternity, but there it will be perfected. And that way you have every tribe and every tongue that will come as a family, as one, as we are the ones that will be in in the presence of God forever. So I just wanted to mention that today. Just a real quick video about just church family, what it means. If you asked what I could have more than anything right now, it wouldn't be money, wouldn't be my dream career or whatever. Honestly, it'd be that true church family. This is something I've been praying for. It's something that I hope will happen one day. It is one of God's promises, so this will happen. When that remains to be seen, but it's definitely something I hope for, because someone who's been alone for a long time, this just seems like a dream. And I know maybe it's not something that's crazy to you, but for someone who's been alone for a long time, it's really everything I could hope for, and it would definitely help with my walk with Christ. But anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you for the next one.